On Father's Day, my stepdaughter tossed me a card that said, "You're not my real dad. Thanks for nothing." She didn't even wait for me to open it before walking away. My wife laughed so hard she almost spit out her coffee and said, "Oh, lighten up. She's not wrong. You're too sensitive anyway." That night, I took them to the restaurant in town, where they spent the entire dinner on their phones, whispering to each other and complaining about how boring I was. They didn't say thank you. They didn't even look at me. That was 2 months ago. Today, my wife called 15 times, begging me to undo what I did. It all started on Father's. I'd been stepdad to Lillian for 8 years, since she was 8. 8 years of baseball games, science projects, driving lessons, and teenage drama. 8 years of not tonight, I'm tired. From Diana because I was busy helping Lil with her homework. 8 years of being the ATM, the chauffeur, the handyman, and the emotional punching bag. That morning I woke up early, made everyone breakfast. Nothing fancy, just some eggs and bacon, but I even put those little strawberry slices on the side, because Lil used to love that when she was younger. Diana stumbled in around 9, glued to her phone as usual. Lil dragged herself down around 10:30, barely acknowledging my existence. I didn't expect much. Maybe a happy Father's Day or something. What I got was way worse. Lil tossed an envelope at me across the table. Didn't even look me in the eye. Just tossed it and started scrolling through TikTok. I thought, hey, at least she remembered. Then I opened it. The card read, "You're not my real dad. Thanks for nothing." She didn't even wait for me to read it before walking away. Diana, my wife of 8 F*** King years, laughed so hard she almost spit out her coffee. I must have looked shocked because Diana rolled her eyes and said I needed to lighten up, that Lil wasn't wrong, that I was too sensitive anyway. Then she went back to scrolling on her phone. Too sensitive? Too sensitive? I paid $24K a year for Lil's private school. I put $200 every month into her college fund since the day Diana and I got married. I taught her to drive in my car that she crashed twice, and I never once made her feel bad about it. But I didn't say any of that. Just sat there holding this card like an idiot while they both ignored me. That night, I took them to that fancy place downtown. You know, the one where you gotta book weeks in advance. Dropped $300 plus on dinner, not including the $50 tip. The whole time they were on their phones whispering to each other, laughing at inside jokes I wasn't part of. At one point, Lil showed Diana something on her phone, and they both burst out laughing. When I asked what was so funny, Diana just said, "Nothing you'd get," and they went back to ignoring me. Lil complained that the restaurant was boring. Diana complained that I always pick these kinds of places, whatever that means. They didn't say thank you. They didn't even look at me during the entire meal. The ride home was dead silent. I kept thinking about all the times I'd stayed up late helping Lil with school projects. The time I drove 4 hours to pick her up from camp when she got homesick. The birthday parties I planned. The tears I wiped away when her bio dad forgot to call. Again, that night I couldn't sleep. Diana was snoring next to me, but I just stared at the ceiling fan going round and round like my thoughts. Is this what the next 10 plus years looks like? Being the wallet and the workhorse but never the dad? Never the husband? Next morning, I called my brother Philip. He's been through a nasty divorce himself, so I figured he'd understand. Told him everything while sitting in my car in the parking lot at work. Didn't want Diana overhearing if she decided to work from home. His response hit me like a ton of bricks. "Bro, they're using you. Have been for years. You're just finally seeing it." I started adding things up in my head. In the last year alone, paid for Lil's $3,000 trip to Europe with her Spanish class, bought Diana a new MacBook when hers was too slow, covered the mortgage entirely. Despite Diana's commission checks getting bigger, haven't bought new clothes for myself in 2 years while they get new stuff every month. Put my dreams of going back to school on hold to pay for Lil's tutoring. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Not just about the money, though that's a big part of it, but about the respect, the appreciation, the basic human decency of acknowledging someone who's busting their ass for you. That night, Diana asked why I was being weird and quiet. I just shrugged and said I was tired. She didn't push it, didn't care enough to. The next day, I took a personal day off work. Didn't tell Diana. Went to see a financial advisor instead. Not my brother, needed someone objective. What I learned made my blood boil. I'd been covering 80% of our expenses despite Diana making almost as much as me now. Her struggling real estate career wasn't so struggling anymore, but our financial arrangement never changed. I'd been dumping money into Lil's college fund while Diana had been upgrading her wardrobe and taking client lunches at spas. That weekend, I went to my brother's place to clear my head. Diana texted asking where I was. I just said out. She didn't follow up, didn't ask if I was okay, just sent back K, and that was it. Philip and I stayed up late drinking beer and gaming like we did before I got married. He asked me straight up, "What would you do if you were single tomorrow?" The question hit me hard. I realized I'd put my whole life on pause for them. My savings, my hobbies, my friends, everything. That's when I decided, this ends now. I spent the next week quietly getting my ducks in a row. I'm not going to share all the details yet, don't want to spoil part 2 of this saga, but let's just say I made some long overdue changes to our financial situation. Nothing illegal, nothing that screwed them over completely, just stopped being their personal ATM. The first week, Diana didn't notice. She was too busy with her girls' trip that I'm pretty sure was just her going to see that guy from her office she's always texting. Yeah, I'm not stupid, just been in denial. The second week is when things got interesting. Bills came due, cards got declined. Suddenly, I was getting texts every hour asking where I was, if I was coming home soon. Why wasn't I answering her calls? I stayed at Philip's place, changed my passwords, waited. By week 3, the school was calling about Lil's tuition payment being late. Diana was freaking out in texts, calling me every name in the book, threatening to call the cops to report me missing. Archa. LOL. I just replied with, I'm safe, taking some time to think. That really set her off. Meanwhile, I was working, saving, planning. For the first time in 8 years, I bought myself something nice without feeling guilty. Just a new smartwatch, nothing crazy, but it felt good, man. It felt like taking back a tiny piece of my dignity. That was 2 months ago. Today, my phone blew up. 15 missed calls from Diana. Voice messages begging me to fix this and undo what I did. Text saying Lil was asking about me, doubt, and that they both miss me, double doubt. Too little, too late? Maybe. But part of me wonders if I'm being too harsh. Another part thinks I haven't gone far enough. Am I the asshole here? Maybe. Probably. But for the first time in years, I'm not just a walking wallet. I'm a man with a backbone who refused to be treated like garbage by the people who should appreciate him. And you know what? It feels pretty damn good. Update 1. First, let me clarify some things from my last post since y'all had questions. No, I didn't just ghost my family completely. No, I'm not trying to make them homeless. And no, I didn't empty our joint accounts. I'm not stupid or trying to get arrested, LOL. What I did do was stop funding a lifestyle that came with zero appreciation. The morning after that disastrous Father's Day dinner, I called in sick to work, spent the whole day making lists in my notes app. Every bill I paid, every account we had, every subscription, every automatic payment. It was eye-opening. Between the mortgage, Lil's private school, the utilities, groceries, and all the random subscriptions we had, YTF did we need 4 different streaming services? I was covering about 80% of everything. Meanwhile, Diana's real estate business had been doing great for the past 2 years. She just wasn't contributing proportionally. Her money went to her hair appointments, mani-pedis, weekend trips with her friends, and whatever designer crap she was buying online every other day. I called my brother Philip during lunch. He's always been the financially savvy one between us. Asked him what my options were. His advice was simple. Don't do anything drastic. Don't break any laws. Just stop overfunding their lifestyle. So that's exactly what I did. First step, I opened a new bank account at a completely different bank. Had my direct deposit switched over immediately. Took about 3 days to process. Second step, I went through all my automatic payments and transferred the ones that were actually mine to the new account. My car payment, my phone, my personal credit card. Left the joint stuff alone for now. Third step, I took some vacation days. Told my boss I had family issues to sort out, not a lie. Used that time to see a financial advisor that Philip recommended. Took a full inventory of our assets, debts, etc. Found out that my name was on everything major, the house, the cars, all the big loans. Diana's credit was trash when we met. She'd never mentioned that. So everything had been in my name. Even her car was technically mine. Meanwhile, I moved some essentials to Philip's guest room. Enough clothes for a couple weeks, important documents, my gaming laptop, the basics. Then I waited. The first domino to fall was Diana's credit card getting declined at some boutique. She called me immediately, annoyed, asking if I'd seen any fraud alert. I just said I was in a meeting and would check later. Ignored her follow-up texts. 3 days later, our joint checking account ran dry. The mortgage payment went through, but her automatic payment for her hair appointment bounced. More angry texts. A week in, she finally realized something was up. Called me at work screaming. Had to step outside to take that call. Demanding to know why there was no money in our account. I just said I'd change some banking stuff around and we should talk about our finances when I got home. Except I didn't go home. Went to Danny's place instead. Shout out to Danny for being a real one through all this. By day 10, the real panic set in. Bills were coming due. Lil needed money for some school thing. Diana was sending texts alternating between rage and concern. Was I having a breakdown? Was I hiding something? Was I cheating? Ironic coming from her, but whatever. I finally texted back, We need to talk about our financial arrangement. I'm not comfortable with the current split. She immediately called. I let it go to voicemail, texted again, not over the phone, in person, with spreadsheets. The school called about Lil's tuition being late. Diana forwarded me the email with just, as her message. I didn't respond. 2 weeks in, I finally agreed to meet her at a coffee shop near Danny's place. Neutral territory. Public enough that she couldn't make a scene. She loves making scenes. When I got there, Diana looked different. The dark circles under her eyes told me she hadn't been sleeping well. Her hair was in a messy bun instead of perfectly styled. For a second, I almost felt bad. Then she started in about how I was being childish, how I was punishing her and Lil, how I needed to get over myself and come home. I pulled out my tablet, opened a spreadsheet, slid it across the table. Column A, everything I paid for monthly. Column B, everything she paid for. Column C, our respective incomes. The numbers don't lie. She stared at it for what felt like forever. Then she tried to flip it around on me, said I was being controlling with money, that I was trying to financially abuse them. I just laughed, asked her how it could possibly be financial abuse to stop giving her money I earned, asked her why she wasn't contributing her fair share when she made almost as much as me now. She had no answer. Just kept saying that I was being petty about the Father's Day thing, that I was overreacting, that Lil was just going through a phase. I slid another document across the table, a list of everything I'd spent on Lil since we got married. Private school tuition, summer camps, dance lessons, braces, trips, clothes, phone bills, the college fund that now had over $20,000 in it. Diana got really quiet. Then she asked what I wanted. What did I want? Respect, appreciation, to not be treated like an ATM with legs, to be acknowledged as a human being with feelings, to be treated like a partner and a parent, not a wallet. I laid out my term. We split all household expenses proportional to our incomes. She contributes to Lil's college fund monthly family therapy, non-negotiable. If Lil wants any extras beyond basics, she gets a part-time job. Diana comes clean about the texts with her coworker. Yeah, I'd seen them. She tried to argue about each point. I just got up to leave. That's when she grabbed my arm and asked if I was filing for divorce. I told her I hadn't decided yet. That was up to her. Ball's in your court, Diana. The next week was weird. I stayed at Danny's but went home during the day while they were out to grab more of my stuff. Changed the passwords on all the streaming services. Petty, I know, but oddly satisfying. Took my name off the utilities so they'd transfer to her. Canceled a bunch of subscriptions we never used. Diana's text changed from angry to panicky to pleading. Lil even texted me once, first time in months, asking when I was coming home. I just said I was figuring things out. 3 weeks in, I got an email from Diana with an attached budget spreadsheet. Her attempt to show me she was being reasonable. Problem was, she'd still allocated about 70% of the expenses to me. Nice try. I countered with my own spreadsheet. 55% me, 45% her, based on our incomes, plus my additional terms. No response for 2 days. Then, a simple, fine. When are you coming home? I didn't respond right away. Wasn't sure I wanted to go back at all, TBH. Part of me was enjoying the peace at Danny's place, playing Elden Ring until 2 a.m., ordering takeout whenever I felt like it, not walking on eggshells in my own house. But another part of me missed my life, my bed, my routine. Even missed Lil's eye-rolling and door slamming. Weird, I know. I finally texted Diana back. I'll come by Saturday to talk. In person. All three of us. Saturday came. I showed up with Danny as backup. He waited in the car just in case things went sideways. Walking into my own house felt strange, like I was a visitor. Diana had made my favorite lasagna. Lil was actually sitting at the table, not hiding in her room. The house was cleaner than I'd seen it in months. The conversation was tense. Lots of tears from Diana, real or fake. Couldn't tell anymore. Lil mostly stared at the table, but I caught her glancing at me a few times. I laid out my terms again, in detail, with the spreadsheets printed out. No more vague promises. Everything in writing. Diana agreed to everything, even the therapy. Too quickly, if you ask me. Lil didn't say much, just nodded when I talked about getting a weekend job if she wanted to keep doing her expensive hobbies. I told them I'd think about moving back, but needed some changes first. My home office was off limits unless I invited them in. Family dinner twice a week, no phones. I wasn't signing up for any more of Lil's activities unless she asked me directly and politely. Diana needed to be transparent about her work relationships. She knew what I meant. They both agreed. Again, too easily. I didn't move back that day. Told them I'd stay at Danny's a bit longer, but would stop by for dinner on Wednesday to see how things were going. As I was leaving, Diana hugged me, whispered that she was sorry and missed me. It felt rehearsed, like she was saying what she thought I wanted to hear. Lil gave me an awkward side hug. Progress, I guess? I spent the next few days moving some of my stuff back in, but kept Danny's guest room as a backup plan. Trust issues? Yeah, probably. Wednesday dinner was stiff, Friday dinner was better. The next week, I spent 3 nights at home. The week after, 5. Things seemed to be improving, but something felt off. Diana was being too agreeable, too sweet. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. It dropped yesterday. I was working from home when an email notification popped up. Diana had forgotten to log out of her account on our shared tablet. The email was from her bank. Subject, loan approval. I probably shouldn't have opened it. But after everything, yeah, I opened it. Diana had taken out a personal loan for $25,000 yesterday without mentioning it to me. I did some digging, checked our credit card statements, the ones I could access, found some weird charges from months ago, hotels I never stayed at, restaurants we never went to together. Then I found the bombshell, a payment to a divorce attorney from 6 weeks ago, before Father's Day, before my financial awakening. She'd been planning to leave all along. I called Danny, called Philip, called the financial advisor, made some moves of my own that I can't detail here because this is already too long. This morning, Diana called me 15 times while I was in a meeting, left voicemails begging me to undo what I did, said we needed to talk ASAP, said it wasn't what I thought. I texted back one word, when? Her response came immediately, come home now, please. I can explain everything. So that's where I'm headed as I type this update from Danny's driveway. Not sure what I'm walking into, but I've got a feeling this isn't going to be the tearful reconciliation she's pretending it is. We'll update when I can. Wish me luck, Reddit. Finally update. Let's pick up where we left off. Me sitting in Danny's driveway, about to head home after discovering Diana had taken out a $25,000 loan and paid a divorce attorney 6 weeks before Father's Day, before my financial awakening. While I was still happily paying for everything, the drive home felt surreal, like I was floating outside my body watching myself grip the steering wheel too tight. My playlist was on shuffle and Before He Cheats came on, which made me laugh in that weird way you do when the universe has a twisted sense of humor. I pulled into our driveway and just sat there for a minute. Our house looked the same as always. The garage door Diana kept promising to fix still had that dent from when she'd backed into it last winter. The flower pots I'd planted in spring were dying because no one had watered them. 8 years of my life in this place, and suddenly it felt like a stranger's home. When I walked in, Diana was pacing in the kitchen, hair a mess, still in her workout clothes from that morning. She froze when she saw me, and for a second neither of us said anything. Then the dam broke. She started rambling about how I'd misunderstood everything, how the loan was for her mom's medical bills, her mom, who we hadn't spoken to in 2 years after she called me the boring replacement at Thanksgiving, how the attorney consult was just exploratory, because she'd been feeling insecure about us. I just stood there, arms crossed, letting her talk herself in circles. Finally asked about the hotel charges, the restaurant bills. She claimed they were work-related, client meetings, late nights showing house. Yeah, right. I took out my phone, showed her screenshots I'd taken of her texts with that coworker, the ones where they discussed which hotel had the best weekend rates, the ones where she complained about how checked out I was from our marriage. Her face just crumpled, not pretty crying like in movies, the ugly, snotty, mascara-running kind. Turns out she'd been seeing this guy for about 4 months. Nothing physical yet, allegedly, but definitely emotional. She'd been planning to ask for a divorce right after Lil's school year ended. The loan was her escape fund, money to get a new place and support herself until the divorce was finalized. She figured with my good nature, I'd keep paying for everything through the separation. The Father's Day card? That was supposed to be the beginning of creating distance, making me feel unwanted so I wouldn't fight too hard to keep them when she dropped the D-bomb. I just laughed. Not because it was funny, but because what else could I do? All those years trying to be the perfect stepdad, the supportive husband, and this was what I got in return. When I finally spoke, I asked the only question that mattered. Where was Lil? Diana said she was at a friend's house. Good. Kid didn't need to see this meltdown. I told Diana I knew about the divorce attorney before I even left, that I'd seen the charge weeks ago but convinced myself it was for her real estate business, that I'd been in denial because I wanted to believe we were a family. She sat down at the kitchen table, asked if I was going to kick them out, if I was filing for divorce first. I didn't answer directly, just asked if she was still seeing him. She looked at the floor, which was answer enough. I took my wedding ring off, put it on the table between us, told her I'd be staying at Danny's until she figured out her next move, that I wasn't paying another cent toward anything except my legal half of the mortgage, since my name was on it too, that she had 30 days to either commit to real counseling and fixing our marriage, or I wanted her out. She started crying again, asking what she was supposed to tell Lil. I said, tell her the truth for once, that Mom was planning to leave anyway and Dad just found out sooner than expected. That night, I crashed hard at Danny's place. Slept for 14 hours straight. Woke up to 27 texts from Diana ranging from apologetic to angry to begging. Classic Diana. Emotional roller coaster. The real surprise came the next day when my phone buzzed with a text from Lil. It just said, "Is it true mom was going to leave you?" I stared at those words for a long time. How do you answer that? How do you tell a 16-year-old that her mom was planning to blow up their life? But also, how do you lie to a kid who deserves the truth? I texted back, "Yes, I just found out too." Three dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, that's messed up. Coming from Lil, that was practically a declaration of support. The next week was chaos. Diana moved most of her stuff to her friend Shirley's guest room, not with the coworker. Guess that romance cooled when the financial reality hit. Lil decided to stay at our house, which shocked me. I moved back into the master bedroom while Diana was gone. Changed the locks, changed the Wi-Fi password. Small victories. Our first therapy session was exactly as awkward as you'd expect. Diana spent most of it trying to paint herself as the victim of a loveless marriage. The therapist, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s who reminded me of my high school math teacher, wasn't buying it. When Diana brought up the Father's Day card as evidence that even Lil knew we weren't working out, the therapist asked if Lil had written that on her own or if Diana had suggested it. Diana's face went red. Bingo. Turns out, Diana had told Lil to write that message, had convinced her that I was planning to leave them anyway, so they needed to protect themselves emotionally. Had been poisoning Lil against me for months. The therapist suggested separate sessions for a while. Meanwhile, the financial reality was hitting both of them hard. Diana's salary covered basics, but not the lifestyle they were used to. Lil had to get a weekend job at the mall, first time she'd ever worked. She came home after her first shift, collapsed on the couch, and declared that people are the worst. I just nodded and slid her a plate of the pizza I'd ordered. First real conversation we'd had in months. 2 weeks into our separation, Diana texted asking to talk without lawyers or therapists. We met at a Starbucks. She looked tired, humbled even. She admitted the affair, emotional only, supposedly, admitted manipulating Lil, admitted planning to blindside me with a divorce. But she also said something I wasn't expecting, that she'd been unhappy for years but didn't know how to say it, that she'd felt trapped by my niceness. How do you leave someone who does everything right on paper? That she'd convinced herself I was secretly miserable too, just hiding it better. That the Father's Day thing was her subconscious trying to make me the bad guy so she wouldn't have to be. I asked why she was telling me all this now. She said therapy was making her see things differently. That losing her cushy lifestyle was a wake-up call about what really mattered. Then she asked if there was any chance of fixing us. I told her I honestly didn't know. That I wasn't sure I could ever trust her again. That the Diana I thought I married never existed. She nodded, didn't argue. Just said she understood and asked if we could keep trying therapy, for Lil's sake if nothing else. I agreed to that much. The next month was weird. Diana stayed at Shirley's but came over for family therapy twice a week. Lil slowly started talking to me more. Little things at first, asking for homework help, complaining about her job, normal teenager stuff. Then bigger things, how she felt when her bio dad left, how confused she'd been when Diana started saying bad things about me. One night, Lil knocked on my office door, handed me a card. Not a store-bought one. She'd made it herself. It just said sorry on the front with a badly drawn cake. Art was never her thing. Inside, she'd written, "I shouldn't have said those things on Father's Day. Mom told me to, but I still chose to do it. You didn't deserve that. Thanks for not leaving me, too." Not gonna lie, I teared up a bit. Things with Diana remained complicated. The therapist helped us set up a formal separation agreement. She got a small apartment nearby. We agreed to split Lil's expenses 50-50. Diana found a second job to make ends meet. I stayed in the house, kept working, started going to the gym again, reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with during my marriage, downloaded a dating app, but couldn't bring myself to actually use it yet. Lil chose to split time between both places, but spent more nights at the house with me than at Diana's apartment. One weekend, she asked if we could repaint her room, something she'd been begging for since she was 14. We spent Saturday blasting music and turning her walls from pink, her little kid color as she called it, to a deep teal. Got more paint on ourselves than the walls, TBH. As for Diana, well, that's where things get interesting. 3 months after moving out, she texted asking if we could talk. Came over after Lil was asleep. Sat at the kitchen island where we used to have breakfast together. She'd broken things off with the coworker completely, was going to individual therapy twice a week, had started taking financial management classes at the community college, was trying to, in her words, fix the broken parts of myself instead of blaming everyone else. Then she asked the million-dollar question. Was there any chance for us? I didn't have an easy answer. Told her I appreciated the changes she was making, but that trust once broken isn't easily repaired, that I needed more time. She said she understood. that she'd keep working on herself regardless, that she was trying to be someone Lil could be proud of, even if we never reconciled. As she was leaving, she paused at the door, said the Father's Day card still haunted her, that watching me open it was the moment she realized how far she'd fallen, how cruel she'd become. But she'd been too proud, too committed to her exit plan to stop it. That was 6 weeks ago. Since then, we've settled into a new normal. Diana and I are still separated, still in therapy, still figuring things out. Lil is doing better. Her grades are up. She's made some new friends at work. She even voluntarily hugged me the other day. Last weekend, we had our first family dinner at a restaurant downtown. The same one from Father's Day, actually. Diana suggested it as a symbolic do-over. This time, there were no phones at the table. Lil actually talked about school. Diana paid the bill without being asked. Small steps. I don't know if Diana and I will find our way back to each other. Maybe some things can't be fixed once they're broken. But we're trying to build something different. Something based on honesty this time. As for me, I've learned that being a good provider doesn't make you a doormat. That it's possible to be kind without being weak. That sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same. Lil asked me yesterday if I regretted marrying her mom. I told her no, because without Diana, I wouldn't have had these 8 years with. And despite everything, those years gave me something I never expected. The chance to be a dad, even if I wasn't her real one. She smiled and said that was cheesy AF, then hugged me and went to her room. So that's where we are now. Not a perfect ending, not a complete disaster, just life. Messy, complicated, ongoing life. Thanks for listening, Reddit. Your comments and support helped more than you know.